Hey all, I've been deciding whether or not to make this video or when to make it because I've seen it many times before when people make videos and they reveal some evidences and truths that they found out. A lot of times there's a distinction, a line drawn in the sand where people will cut you off because you're speaking against their beliefs or you're speaking your truth that doesn't fit with theirs. Let's put it that way. The statement, obviously, that I'm going to be talking about, you can tell by the title, is "In God We Trust," which all of you know is on our monetary system today. Wasn't always so. It used to be gold and silver notes promised for actual value in gold and silver. And there are a lot of people in my circles, people that like to investigate truths, who have their ways of thinking from the beginning that they haven't changed yet, but they're open to look at lots of things they've never looked at before, such as cosmology, the shape of the earth, whether or not the government has our best interest, whether or not the weather is natural anymore, etc. So this term, "In God We Trust," the main thing I want to hit on is going to be a distinction between whether you value religion over relationship. And what I mean by that is when you're building a relationship with anyone, the first thing you typically want to know about the person you find interest in is their name. And I often give the story as if somebody introduced a woman to me and said her name is Christy. So every time I saw her, I said, "Hey Christy, how's it going, Christy?" And she responds, but her name isn't Christy. She was introduced with the wrong name. But later on, let's say I marry this woman and her name isn't Christy, her name is Carolyn. But I continue to call her Christy because that's who I knew her as. And obviously I love her, I married her, I want to spend the rest of my life with her, but I still call her Christy. And then one day, she reveals it. She writes a letter to me and she says, "I love you and I will respond to you no matter what you call me. However, I think it's important that you know my name is Carolyn, and I would really appreciate it if you call me by my name, because a name is distinctive for the individual." So when I was in 2012, I was very close to becoming an associate pastor, which I've decided not to go down that road. But in the investigation of the things I was studying to become a pastor, I was looking into the history of the church, and I was praying to the Creator saying, "Help me to be who you want me to be and do what you want me to do and bring those to me you want me to minister to." And there was an inside voice, you know, the voice in your head type of a sound, but, you know, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I couldn't explain it to you because it's not a physical, tangible thing that I could measure and quantify for you. But the voice in my head was saying, "How are you going to do what I want you to do if you don't know who I am?" And my first instinct growing up in church my whole life was, I know who Jesus is. He's my king and my God, and etc., etc. And I said, this must be the devil, and I'm gonna rebuke the devil because the devil is a liar. And I just kept going on and on, but the voice kept repeating in my head, how are you going to do what I want you to do if you don't know who I am? Well, I took it upon myself to investigate the name of the Creator. And if somebody says that it's not important to them, but yet they believe the scriptures, you can see there's many, 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 many verses that says that you must call my name, and you must swear by my name, and you mustn't go by any other name. You mustn't call the deities you must not call the name of other deities names. And every other religion that has deities has them named. And so I investigated and found out that the Creator's name was there, purposely put in and purposely taken out by religion. It's the 4 Hebrew letters, Yod He Vav He. Some say Wav He. I'm not going to get into that right now. And that his name means that which does exist, did exist, and will exist. It is the existence. All that has existed, all it will exist is the existence, which is Yod He Vav He. And so I was like, okay, so what about the term God as a title or as a name even? Well, come to find out, God used to be spelled G-A-D, and you can look this up for yourself. God is the deity of riches and wealth of Babylon. G-A-D, God, riches and wealth. So what I realized is that Constantine, who wanted to create this universal religion, decided to choose the name of the prosperity deity because he wanted to be the most prosperous religion. And so they would call on God. And if you think about the money and how on the money it says, in God we trust, it makes perfect sense. In prosperity we trust, in money we trust. And so I looked into other titles and names that are given to describe the Creator, and things like Lord, which comes from Baal, which is a false deity, and other things like that, where I also found that a lot of words are from false deities that they just cover up our society with. For instance, if you go to seminary to allegedly learn how to read the Bible, they do a teaching called biblical hermeneutics. And what this is a description of different ways to interpret scripture rather than just reading it and applying it. So biblical, Bible, comes from biblios, which is the deity of knowledge. And hermeneutics comes from Hermes. Oh my goodness, what a mess. What a mess. The days of the week are named after deities, months of the year are named after deities, the stars are named after deities. But yet we ignore the fact that the Creator most likely has a name himself. And what about the one that is spoken of in the New Testament? Jesus. Well, in reality, even if you look it up in a Bible dictionary called a concordance, you'll see that Jesus is a translation derived from the same name that was translated as Joshua earlier in the book. So Why the cover-up? Why the different translation of the name? Well, when they were first trying to, those who did not speak Hebrew were trying to determine the name that this book was written about, they went to scholars, and a lot of them were Pharisaical scholars, which we would call rabbis today. And they didn't like the idea of this guy Yeshua, or Yahusha, depending on your dialect, that was going around breaking apart their religion, because he says, no, you need to go back to what the Creator wants and not listen to these men. And they told the translators that his name is Yesu. Well, Yesu is one of those words where you take each letter and it means a word, and you mash them together and create a new word. You know, like NASA, the letters stand for different words, like not a space agency or never a straight answer. So in Hebrew, Yesu means may his name and memory be blotted out. May his name and memory or remembrance be blotted out. And then the Greeks made his name masculine by adding an us on the end, like Perseus, Copernicus. You know, they always have an us for male names. So they turned it to Jesus. And Jesus to Latin, Jesus, Latin to English, Jesus. So those of you who believe the book and they call him Jesus, well, I think it's really good, important information that you know that Jesus means may his name and memory be blotted out. So every time you're calling on Jesus, you're saying, may his name and memory be blotted out. It's horrible. Now, Yahusha or Yehoshua means Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh is salvation. The existence, the creator, the thing of all things is salvation. That's a far better meaning than may his name and memory be blotted out. So I know that you were brought up to think that when you mention God, he knows who I'm talking about, so I can call him whatever I want and he'll answer. That may be true, but you are accountable for learning truth. And it says that those who seek truth will find it. But if you're happy living a tradition of man that seems to reverse the book that you've been reading, then feel free. Once you go down my rabbit hole, which I did in 2012, you'll find out that religion and the book have nothing to do with one another. You need to read it for yourself, apply it as best you can, and if it doesn't fit, get rid of it. You'll find that church comes from Kirke, which is circus. It's just a mess. You'll find that Easter didn't even change her name. It's Ishtar, the goddess of sex of Babylon. And then Good Friday is for Dagon the fish god, which is why Catholics don't eat fish on Fridays. You'll see that every sun deity, whether you call him Ra or Mithra or Tammuz or Jupiter or any of those other titles they give to the sun deity, you will see that they were born on December 25th, and that the one that they called Jesus was not. He was born most likely in the fall, in the time of tabernacles, when he tabernacled with us. But that's a rabbit hole. I just challenge you, you've questioned so many other beliefs and people just don't want to question this one because it's the fundamental truth of their existence that what they learned in church must be true. What I'm saying is religion is controlled by men, and don't throw out the book with the religion. If you read the book for yourself and you try to just try to purge your mind of all religious doctrine and belief systems that you learned prior, and you just read the book for yourself, you'll see that the book is full of powerful information that's been hidden through religion. So that's my little rant. I'm sure a lot of you will hate me now. That's fine. I'm just into sharing the truth, as many of you are. So if you don't want to listen to me, don't. You know, it all comes down to your choice in the end. Do I believe that there's a creator? Yes, I do. And it's becoming more and more evident the more that we look at this realm that we're in. Do I believe that the way to find the creator is through religion? I would say no. 1,000 times no. And just to end this on the craziest statement that I can make that will get people's feathers all ruffled, because you're probably already hating me now, is everybody dies and goes to hell, because hell literally means the place where we bury the dead. So with that, shalom and peace. May the Creator give you all truth. Bye.